Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Mika, and in this video, I want to share about my project. So let's get started. So in this project, I'm analyzing all this customer, all this data set, which is Brazilian e-commerce data set. So the approach the approach that we take on this project is using RFM analysis to understand about the product and the purchase behavior of the customers. So there are four problem statements that we have here. First is about which product categories have the highest sales and revenue. Second is which product category exhibit the best RFM scores. For those who don't know, RFM is R for recency, F for frequency, and M for monetary. So basically, we use three dimensions to understand about the product, the best product that we sell for the business. And the third problem statement is about what are the trends and sales cycle for each product category. And the fourth is which products that show significant growth compared to previous year. So this is our problem statement. So the step that we take first is to understand about the database itself. So in this database, we have 9 tables, and each for tables we've done data cleaning and we check for the null values and duplicate rows. So for the null values, we must check if there are any null values in the table, and then we set values for each columns, and it's different values for each tables and the columns. It's very dependent on the context of the table itself. And the second, what we do is to check duplicate. So in what the approach that we take that for the duplicate rows is not by just dropping the duplicates, but what we do is by aggregating. So the reason why we use aggregation is like, for example, these payment tables, we have duplicate rows for the order ID. So if we try to understand the data, the rows are duplicated because in the payment table, it's telling us about each of payment sequential that the customer paid for the purchase. So they have installment order, and they did some payments for the order. So that's what makes this data set duplicated. And like I said before, the approach that I take is to count this data, and then we've got the tenor or the payment terms for the order. And on this approach, what we're trying to do is merging all the table. So we must make sure there are no many-to-many relationship between the table, but at least we have one unique one-to-many relationship. So that's what we're trying to do when we try to clean the data. So this is the chart of our table about the relationship between the tables. And this is what we finally do, is merging all the tables. So we have one master table that consists every column that we needed to analyze the data set. So, and then we can go to the analyzing step. The analyzing step, we first understanding the distribution of each numerical columns. And as we see right now, the column that we use for the basis is total payment. So this is total payment. It's a custom column that I made. Basically, is the result of quantity multiplied by price. So total payments is a synonym for revenue in this context. So what we see, that revenue, total price is the revenue. distributed, not normally distributed data sets. So we understand there are outliers, but for this context and analysis, we not just we're not dropping the outliers because I want to capture the pattern of the data as it is. So there are not some bias, but try to capture the real or the factual data. So categorically, the most purchased products is bed table, health, beauty, and sport and leisure. This is from the transaction numbers. But like we see after, later, what we try to see later, there are some variation. So what we do is we're trying to start with RFM. So in recency, the most recent product that's being purchased is kitchen, dining, laundry, garden, and furniture. But for this context, recency is not very useful for us to understand about the utility or the benefit of the product. So what we're trying, we are more focusing on frequency and monetary analysis. So in basically in frequency, just like the chart before, bed table have the highest transaction number, purchase transaction number. So this is one of the most significant revenue comes from bed table. But if we try to see the monetary analysis, on the other hand, the bed table is on the third rank. On the first rank, we have health and beauty, watches and gifts. So like we see later in this table, we try to find the pattern. So in this, like we see before, health and beauty have growth trends from the beginning in May 2017 until August 2018. And like we see, the revenue that comes from the health and beauty itself is much, much larger from the other product categories. So maybe the bed table have the highest number of transactions, but from the revenue, the most revenue comes from health and beauty and watches and gifts. The reason watches and gifts have highest revenue is because most the watches products have higher price, even though the quantity is not as so many as the bed table. And the conclusion of this project is the most purchase comes from one big city, and it's Sao Paulo. And there are two best products. The product that much significant growth is health and beauty, watches and gifts. So from this understanding and insights with growth from health and beauty, watches and gifts, and from the best RFM score is still health and beauty, watches and gifts because they have the highest revenue. We need some promotion strategy. And from additional context, the most purchase, the most payment channel comes from credit card, especially for health and beauty and watches and gifts. So the business strategy will be promoting. We need to focus on promoting product in health and beauty category with additional watches and gifts. We need to have some cooperation with merchants especially for health and beauty and watches and gifts for additional discount. So when the season is not peak in July or August, when it is January for health and beauty, that we can offer discounts so the customer can we inviting customer to purchase health and beauty more in January. And the second business strategy is we need to have more stock for health and beauty watches and gifts in July and August, because like we see before, the trend for the watches and gifts is on peak on August yearly, and oh sorry, for health and beauty on August and watches and gifts on May. And then what we can do is we have we can start to have additional discount for credit cards and like working with banks. So if they are using credit card payment for a certain bank, they have discount for the product they bought in those merchants. And we can try to start new acquisition strategy like supply chain acquisition. So we have competitive advantage to gain more, much more efficient costs and cheaper price and much more competitive price. So that's overview about my project. Thank you. See you next time.